How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about Manchester United because they're starting to feel the financial pressures of the coronavirus. We're also going to be talking about the EFL and what's going to happen to the teams and their seasons. And last piece of news, we're going to be talking about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang because PSG are the latest team to show an interest in the Arsenal striker.
I represent my fucking self.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So the first place we're going to start is Manchester United, and the news that broke yesterday that they are starting to feel the pressure and the financial strains of the coronavirus. Manchester United have felt the financial effects of the coronavirus crisis, with Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward vowing to navigate them through one of the most extraordinary and testing periods in the club's history. Woodward last month conceded United are not immune to the financial ramifications of the ongoing pandemic, although said the club can remain highly competitive in the upcoming summer transfer window. Fewer games have been played in the third financial quarter of 2020 due to the coronavirus crisis, with United making less money from broadcasting and matchday revenues. Manchester United is a resilient club and a resilient company. We are well positioned both operationally and financially to navigate this global crisis, and we very much look forward to returning to play and building upon the strong on-pitch momentum that we experienced up to mid-March when we stopped. Woodward also said the board remain fairly optimistic about the long-term prospects both on and off the field. Once we have worked our way through what is undoubtedly one of the most extraordinary and testing periods in the 142-year history of Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team last played 10 weeks ago in a Europa League game, which they won very, very comfortably. But of course, that game was behind closed doors as well before the lockdown. The Premier League was suspended the following day, and that has taken its toll on the balance sheet, with United no longer predicting the revenues of up to £580 million in the second quarter of 2020. Instead, United said in their third quarter results they were withdrawing their previous guidance, given ongoing uncertainty due to COVID-19 and the evolving related economic and financial consequences. So look, it's pretty straightforward stuff. I think most clubs are starting to feel the financial pinch. Manchester United more than most, given the fact that they make such revenue on a match day. The biggest stadium in the UK, over 70,000. So none of that income's coming in, with Old Trafford not being used. And obviously the TV money and everything else. So it's hitting them a bit. But one key part in there was probably the bit that mentions about transfers, and that it's not going to really have that much of an impact on what they do in the window. I've seen some reports yesterday talking about how they're not going to be looking in the attacking areas because they're happy with what they've got. But then there's some reports that are talking about how they're, definitely going for the likes of Jadon Sancho. And it's hard to predict or believe what you read in the tabloids now. I'm literally relaying exactly what's out there, what's being said. And the one thing that we can guarantee is this information about the financial pinch, because it's come from Ed Woodward himself. In terms of transfers and whatnot, that remains to be seen. I think a lot of Manchester United fans may well not be too confident, shall we say, given recent scenarios involving Ed Woodward and promises that may have been made before. But we'll wait and see, and we'll wait and see whether, if this season gets started, Manchester United can continue their form. Because we already know that a year ago they had the same kind of form under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he first arrived, and then it all went pear-shaped. And what do Manchester United do if it goes pear-shaped again? Do they make a change? And then it's kind of one step forward, two step back. But we will wait and see. Next piece of news involves the EFL, because of course there is football outside of the Premier League. and that relegation across all 3 divisions of the EFL is integral to the integrity of the competition, the league's board have said. And that's going to cause a lot of controversy. Sky Bet League One is set to be decided on unweighted points per game, while Stevenage are set to be relegated from League Two after the latest EFL board meeting. There have been disagreements between the League One clubs over how to continue the campaign, and any decision to curtail the season will only take place if the clubs vote in favour of doing so. League Two clubs have already voted to end their season early, pending approval from the EFL and the FA. League Two clubs agreed that 3 teams should be promoted to League One. The promotion playoffs should still take place and no team should be relegated to the National League. But the EFL has now said that relegation across all 3 divisions of the EFL is integral to the integrity of the competition. That's mad. A club should be relegated to the National League, the EFL board states, provided we have assurances that the National League will start season 2020-21. For example, the relegated club in League Two has somewhere to play. As well as setting out the principle on relegation, the EFL board says the playoffs should be played in the event of a curtailment, but should not be extended beyond the regular 4 teams. It also says that the decision to curtail in each division should require a 51% majority amongst the clubs concerned, with League One sides in open disagreement about whether to stop or play on. That is a really, really tough one. And you're looking at this as well and some more of the report, and they're talking about in League One, if they do go with the relegation, then Tranmere would be relegated. Now, you look at this and why it's harsh is that Tranmere have a game in hand over AFC Wimbledon, who are just in front of them by 3 points. And they win that game in hand, they can go above them. But with the season finishing the way that it is, Tranmere would be relegated to League Two. That's tough. And Stevenage, they would be relegated out of the Football League altogether. And I don't know what that will do to Stevenage as a club. Their setup at Stevenage is brilliant in terms of their academies and everything else and their facilities. And I know firsthand because my son was at Stevenage for 3 years or so in their academies and everything. Right through to the scholars and into the under-23s and the first team and everything else. So their setup is made for league football, you know, and wow. Things haven't gone great for Stevenage in recent times, you know, changing of managers all the time and everything else. I know they're in the process of doing a, you know, ground rebuild and everything in one of their stands. So they're, you know, putting all the plans in place and they have all the facilities in place to be a league club. But if this goes ahead, they're not going to be a league club. That's mad. And you've got to look at that and say, will they be able to survive? How are they going to be able to recover from that? And I don't know. I don't know what the ins and outs are in terms of the financial side of things and everything and whether they would be able to. But it'd be difficult because they've got everything in place to be a league team, but then they wouldn't be a league team. So difficult, and we'll wait and see what happens. But maybe now relegation is being mentioned, teams might not actually agree to go in with the vote of the season being curtailed, and they may see that as being unfair. It looks like they were all in agreement if relegation, you know, was off the table, but with it now back on the table, it might sway things the other way. So that's interesting, and we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Last piece of news involves Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and it's a pretty straightforward, short story. And that's Paris Saint-Germain are weighing up a £35 million move for Arsenal contract rebel, apparently, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, according to reports. The striker is edging closer to the Emirates' exit door with just a year left on his current deal. Barcelona have been heavily linked with a switch for Aubameyang as they delve into the market for a new striker. But it's their European rivals who are braced to make the first move, reports Le 10 Sport. So, listen, I take it all with a pinch of salt, to be quite honest with you. Aubameyang's being linked with everyone. There's been Real Madrid, there's been Barcelona, there's been Inter Milan. Now there's Paris Saint-Germain, there's been Manchester United, there's been Chelsea. What more do you want me to say? Aubameyang himself has come out and said he's happy at Arsenal. Numerous times he's come out and said that, you know, he loves being the captain of the team and everything else. And I know that doesn't mean that someone's going to stay and it's not a guarantee or anything. I should know as an Arsenal fan some of the captains that have left in the past and whatnot. But at the end of the day, he's not give any indication that he wants to leave. You know, he's gave indications he wants to stay, but not leave. And yes, there's a contract to be sorted out. Yes, he probably wants more money. And you know what? He deserves it, because he's one player in the team that's actually doing the business. Now, one thing I will say about this is that, you know, I feel that the Mesut Ozil wages and everything else may be holding everything up. But if I was Arsenal, I would look at the situation and say, you know what? He's got a year left. Replacing him is going to be really, really difficult, especially in the current market and everything else. Replacing his goals. Behave yourself, man. So the best thing to do would be let him run down his contract next season. Let him continue to play, score goals, hopefully get us towards the Champions League or whatever. And then Mesut Ozil will then be off, you know, in terms of the wage bill, because his contract will have expired. If we did get into the Champions League, for example, Aubameyang could sit there and go, you know what, yeah, I'm going to stay. I want to renew now. And Arsenal can offer him the money that he deserves, because they won't have the likes of Mesut Ozil on the wage bill. And there's a few other players as well that will be off the wage bill next season. So, interesting. And no doubt we'll find out what happens in due course. But at the moment, I don't think there's anything happening apart from rumours, to be honest. So, there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about today's topics. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. I'll see you a lot soon. I'm out of here.